There you go. Hey, Ben.
What's up, bro?
How, everything good? What about you?
Everything's good, man. Excited, just kind of hanging out, trying to get the year started.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of, it's been a lazy couple days, but I'm ready. I'm ready to get back to work.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, it's like everybody still, it's like the first week is like the hangover for New Year, right?
Oh yeah, I think January 1st is considered like the most laziest day of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a day. Every year I find myself doing the same thing, hanging out and ordering food and watching some TV show all day. So
Yeah, totally. Totally. But I don't know if it's me or like, but since this year started, it feels different, I don't know how to describe it, but like when this year started, like for the first second to today, it feels like something's different. I'm still working on it to see what is going on here. Something's different. I don't know what.
I mean, it's not a tradition. We're still in the same crap that we've been in for 2 years
Right.
with the pandemic. So it's like, oh, it's a fresh start, but how much of a fresh start really is it? We're still dealing with the same stuff around the world.
Totally.
I mean, it's getting old. So we're
Yeah,
just
that's the
tired
thing.
of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's getting old. It's getting old. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and also like the last one I think, or the last 2 months with this new variant, the Omicron, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Here we go again.
Yeah.
That's never ends. But hey, welcome to the show. It is so
Thanks,
cool
man.
enough to have you here. Before we start, I have to give you a proper welcome for someone as bad as you. So let me just show you. There you go.
That's a nice touch. I like it. And one day it'll be a full studio you'll have.
There you
with
go.
both
Oh yeah.
people,
Oh yeah.
so.
Totally. I mean, I'm still working on it to have my 1,000 episodes of Staples Center, but we'll see.
Right. There you go.
And yeah. So let's get started. By the way, you hear dog noise in the background. Those are my 3 dogs just having
No
fun.
worries. Dude, I got a baby, so if you hear crying in the background,
Yeah. Okay.
so.
Fair enough. So, starting with the whole interview, you tell me how your acting career started.
It's going good. It's been a weird. It's funny. It was really picking up like 2018, 20. Because it's funny. So next month is actually 10 years since I was on my first film set ever.
Okay.
So it's been a 10-year journey. And I went through, for most of those years, probably 7, 8 of those years, I went through a lot of, not knowing what to do and going in several different, directions, running around like a chicken with his head cut off. But in 2018, 2019, it actually I started finding some success and really understanding how this business works. But but then the pandemic hit, so it's been weird. But things are starting to get back to normal. I'm auditioning weekly and things like that. So projects are picking up. I'm in the Southeast, so I'm in the Atlanta region. So there's a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah.
I go to work. I'm working on a TV show. I can't say a ton about it at the moment, but I'm working on a TV show in a couple weeks.
Cool.
Up in Wilmington, North Carolina. So other than that, man, I had a good year last year. Last year was a crazy year in general, but had a good year last year, and about to start with this new TV series that I'm about to work on. So so far so good. I'm just right now it's funny, like mid-December to now, I feel like is the time to update. Update your portfolio, update your resume, your headshot, your actors access, your IMDb, all of your marketing materials. Now is the time. So that's what I've been doing kind of over the holidays, just to get ready for the swing of things, get ready for auditions to start coming in again. So
Okay, that's cool.
yeah.
That's cool. And tell me, like, when you were recently started with your acting career, like, what were some of the challenges, but also what kept you growing? I mean, what kept you moving forward with the journey here?
Well, I mean, a big part of the challenge was not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's every single person who looks at their parents and say, "Hey, I want to be an actor," and it scares the shit out of them because they're like, "I don't know how to help you," and that's exactly my parents had no idea how to help me. They supported me, but I mean, we didn't come from any type of entertainment family, or anything like that. But I did theater and drama in high school and throughout middle school a little bit. So I got a little taste of acting early on. But it's funny, throughout my entire high school career, I was going to join the Coast Guard.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I wanted to be a rescue swimmer in the Coast Guard. So I actually trained for 4 years. I was on the swim team, swimming competitively, and
Yeah.
um, really training and working towards that. And I mean, by my senior year, me and my father, we went to see a Coast Guard recruiting officer, and I was like ready to sign up, but they told us it was going to be like a 2-year waiting list.
Mm.
And that kind of that was a little uh, that was like devastating because it was like 4 years of like, what am I going to do for 2 years?
Yeah.
You
Totally.
know, so I really kind of did some soul searching, and acting, as far as like becoming a career, never really occurred to me. I mean, I always thought, man, that would be wonderful, that would happen, but it was just kind of not part of reality in my world.
Mm.
Excuse me. So I kind of just did some soul searching, and then I decided I wanted to be an actor. I was like, what do I really want to do? Who am I? So then I auditioned for, and I hadn't acted in a couple of years since middle school, and it was my senior year. And I went and auditioned for a play called Harvey that our spring
Okay.
production was putting on, and I got one of the lead roles as Dr. Sanderson, and I ended up having a blast doing it. Theater is a great atmosphere to build like a family.
Mm.
Other than film and TV, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've worked with somebody one time, had a great relationship with them for 18 hours on set, but never saw them again.
Yeah.
Theater is a whole different background, so I really just loved that atmosphere, and I loved performing, and the play was a great success, and it really built my confidence up, and I was like, well, maybe I can do this. Um, and then that was 2011. It wasn't until a year later, 2012, February 2012, where they were shooting a Christmas movie starring Wee Man from Jackass.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Elfman,
Yeah.
and they were shooting that in the area I lived in, and a friend of mine had a connection through there, and he was like, hey, do you want to come do a background role? I was like, yeah. I was like, absolutely. I was like, I don't know anything about the film industry, or I want to somehow work in it, but yeah, absolutely. I was like, this is my foot in the door. Um, and I got on set, and it was all very strange and exciting and new, and we were shooting at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd already been waiting at 6 hours, which is very normal in this business, but it was just new to me. And it was February, but everybody was in the Christmas spirit because it was for the end of the year release. And but I got to work with Wee Man on set, which he was great. Sean Astin, who's Mackenzie Astin's brother.
Okay.
From Lord of the Rings. I got to work with him. And everyone was really friendly, and it was just kind of like, okay, this is possible. So, that's kind of what I started doing a little bit. As soon as I got done doing that production, which I only worked 2 days on, I got into acting classes immediately. And that's like a huge way to build your foundation.
Mm.
You start performing in front of people you don't know, and then you get, direction from a teacher who knows what they're talking about, and then you make friends and connections with the students in your class about local castings, and that's just kind of how it's networking.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that things started happening a little bit, I worked on House of Cards for Netflix. That same year I had one line. I don't even know how I got it. Like the email system, because how acting is, the way you book roles, is very different now than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a much more clearer platform now than it was. But it was just life was going by so fast with that. So I kept getting on a set, and I kept getting in an acting class where I was building my confidence. So I think that's what kind of kept me going. And then a year later, when I was 19 years old, I moved to the Hollywood neighborhood, where I wanted to actually be around casting directors and people who were doing the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a continuation of being in class and being on film sets, even though sometimes I wasn't doing anything. That just was like, it was like a little bit of possibility that was kind of going on in my mind. I was like, okay, and I was passionate about it, so it was exciting. It was like, okay, I found my calling.
Yeah, there you go. That is super important here. And also, whenever you got it, or whenever you know where to go, I think everything starts to have more sense to it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So later on, you were in projects such as City of Lost Souls, Aftermath, The Making of the Mob, Inseparable Hearts, Sleepless Nights, Six and Sevens, Relatively Evil. But like, tell me how you usually prepare for a character. I mean, I understand, of course, that depends on the role, but like, what usually, yeah, like what usually sets you off into this role, let's say, into creating a character?
So creating a character, excuse me, is probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned how about going doing that in the past 5 years. I used to, obviously it depends on the role. It depends on how big the role. If it's if you're working on a TV show and you're playing, if you're doing a few liner type of character where it's just, like a waiter or a bartender or something like that, in reality, there's not a lot you need to do because the director and the producers just want you to play a simple person. They don't want you to like kind of be the light of the story because they already have the stars. You're just there to kind of help tell that story. So, when you have those type of like little co-star roles, learn your lines, understand maybe the story going on in that episode or in the film that you're working on. But there's not a lot you need to do, and that the director appreciates that because they don't want you going in there trying to be an Oscar winner at these 3 lines. Like they don't need you to have this whole backstory. Now when it comes to a lot of the independent stuff I did, I give you an example, like when I did Six, I mean every role that I actually take on, I try to find a piece of my life's truth and put into that character. Or else it's not gonna work.
Okay.
I'm guilty, and I guarantee you a lot of actors are guilty of thinking of their favorite actor or celebrity and saying, how would they play this character? This is how I should do it. I'm guilty of that myself. And then I really learned the value of bringing yourself to the character. Like if I'm going to play a police officer, who is me, Scott, as a police officer?
Okay.
So I really try to block out other influences around me, and really just find myself in the role. And it can be challenging to do because sometimes it's like instead of a writer's block, you might have an actor's block. You might not, but it's part of doing the work.
Yeah.
For example, when I did Sixes and Sevens, I played a psychopath. So that required a lot more attention to detail and research. I mean, I literally would watch videos of people in insane asylums and watch their little tics and their little movements and just how their mannerisms are, so I could just bring that to my character. Now I didn't copy what they did, but I just kind of used that for inspiration for the character I was trying to build, because I wrote that character too. When I was writing him, I didn't exactly know how I was going to play it, so I think it just depends on the role. If it's a bigger role, I try to bring my self-truth to that role. And if it's a smaller role, I try to not, I don't want to take it as, not as seriously, but I don't want to put as much passion into it. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but you don't take, you just keep it simple. You go in there and you say the words, and if they want you to do something else, the director is going to tell you. But 99% of the time, they just want you in there to help tell the story. If you're there to play a waiter, just be a waiter. Don't go in there and try to win your Golden Globe. Just literally be a waiter, because that's literally what they're asking for.
Yeah, of course. Okay. And what do you like most about playing a character?
Oh, the escape, man. I mean, I've loved movies since I was a kid. I think the movie theater is my favorite place in the world.
Yeah.
It's where I find inspiration when I'm lacking it. And to be able to do that, be able to become somebody else and step into somebody else's shoes is really fascinating. I've only had maybe 2 times in my life where I was performing a scene and I was so deep inside someone else's mind that I actually kind of forgot what was going on when we cut the scene. It's only happened twice, but I've come close to others. But I love that feeling of forgetting who I am, forgetting my problems, and living out somebody else for a few minutes to look into somebody else's world. But it's all about that escape for me, playing. It's storytelling. It's storytelling. That's my passion.
Okay. And what would you say it's an important aspect to make a relatable character?
I think it goes back to finding that the truth in yourself.
Totally.
You know,
Mm.
if there's you know, and I'm learning this more as I continue my career. If there's a character that you can't connect to, you can't figure out how to bring yourself to them, and you are not confident in playing it by the time they send you a call sheet, I don't know if I would do it. I mean, if you can't bring any type of truth and it doesn't all like, you know, like I'm not a psychopath, at least some would agree, but I was able to relate to people like that because I've had people in my life who remind me of that.
Okay.
And so it doesn't necessarily have to be yourself, but if there's parts of your life, of your history that you can bring into a character, I think that's probably one of the most important things to putting a character together, because then you can actually feel the emotion that's being asked of you when you're on set, and you know, you can really connect with the story. And if you don't believe you're the character, the audience isn't going to either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we want a character in which we can totally, yeah, in which we can totally in which we could totally say like, I can see myself talking with this guy, or I can see this guy walking down the street in a regular Monday, Tuesday. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. Even if you just find somebody interesting, you know,
Yeah.
you may have a different life, but if you have some type of connection, you know, just, I mean, one of my dream roles in life, and maybe in 10, 15 years in the remake, is to play the Joker. Like, I mean, I'm nothing
Okay.
like the Joker, but I think that is one of the most interesting characters to escape into. And what is the fun part about that is the challenge of making it different than it's already been.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but I mean, if someone wants to give me a role and I'm just kind of like, man, I have no attachment to that, like in my heart or in my, just, you know, if you just have a brick wall between you both, I don't, I'm sure you can make it work, but it's going to be really challenging, you know? Like I
Yeah.
said, if you don't believe you're a character, the camera shows lies. Like, people don't realize that. Film acting is so different. I almost had to relearn it a couple years ago.
Mm.
Because I wasn't doing it correctly. The camera shows every single thing. It shows the ticks in your face that you don't realize you're doing it.
Yeah.
If you don't believe the dialogue you're trying to portray, the camera's going to pick up on that. So that's why it's so important to understand who you are in this different mindset. Because I mean, you'll be exposed if you don't.
Totally.
So.
I can agree on that. So you were also in Die For You, Ghosted, and Painkiller. But tell me, like, what would you say it's an important aspect for storytelling?
Great writing.
Okay.
I think great writing. A director who is willing to let you play on set. I've worked with directors who know what they want and that's it. There's no changing it. There's no playing with it. And I'm not a fan of that style. I mean, I've done a film. I did a film 5 years ago. I won't say what it was, but the director was so anal about the particular way you're saying the line, and it's just like I felt like a robot.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe in my performance anymore because he was just so critical of every single move we did in our scene. I had only like 3 scenes, but I played a character that was very important to the story, and it's just. So I you know, writing is huge because that's the first thing that really jumps out with the story. But a director is huge. Painkiller. I worked with Painkiller's on Amazon Prime, by the way. And I worked with a director. We shot that in Tampa, Florida, and I worked with a director out of Australia, and he was phenomenal. And I could tell he had years of experience.
Yeah.
But he was such a phenomenal director, and we were actually in a hurry. I shot 1 day.
Okay.
In that movie, but I shot for 6 hours, and we were in a rush because we were, you know, we had some outside scenes, and we were up against the daylight, and they had to get scenes in, and we were rushed, but he was still like, hey, you know, we can do one more. Just do it, do your thing,
Yeah.
do your thing in this. And he was just so, you know, he was a director. He had total charge of that set, but he just was so easygoing and so respectful to his. I mean, you gotta have trust in your actors. And I think if you don't have, if everybody's not on the same page,
Mm.
you're not gonna get a good story.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, when I worked on Painkiller, I remember the director wanted one thing, and he wanted me to walk across the lens, and he wanted I had been shot in the scene, and he wanted a specific shot of this of me holding my stomach, and he wanted the blood to show dripping while I was walking. Well, I ended up walking across the frame, and I actually slipped on a bunch of leaves, and I slipped and I slammed and on the ground, and then I got back up, and I just kept going because you don't stop until you hear cut. And as soon as like I got far in the field, I was like, oh man, I messed this up. We're gonna have to go again. I hear him yell, "Brilliant!" Like he loved it. So anything, if a director is like, okay, let's see what happens, let's shoot this, but whatever happens here, an open mind. That's I mean, so
Yeah.
writing and a director who has open mind and is courteous to his actors.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, besides acting, you also write, and you wrote some projects such as Ghosted, Sixes and Sevens, and Inseparable Hearts. Tell me, like, what usually inspires you to write?
Um, so I always, yeah, I've wrote three projects. I've always taken something out of my life.
Yeah.
I use a lot of symbolism in my writing.
Okay.
So when I wrote Inseparable Hearts, and I'd say 75% of it is I'm inspired by something going on in my life, and 25% of it was at the time there was just not a lot going on, and I just wanted to work. You know, I wanted to shoot something.
Yeah.
So I mean, each of those films have different meanings to me. You know, going through hard times, like for example, Sixes and Sevens particularly. I was going through a really hard time in my life, and like I felt like I was only 24 years old, but I felt like I hit rock bottom. And I went dazed, and I was really depressed, and I was like, man, how can I wasn't working. I was at just a low point in life, and I hadn't done any acting in a few months, and I was like, man, how can I transition this into like
Something else.
a character, you know? How can I take all this anger and this sadness and aggression, how can I put it into a character? And I wrote the character Teddy Stuyton, who I play in Sixes and Sevens, and
Okay.
it's funny, I kind of always end up creating a character first, and the story kind of follows.
Mm.
So that's just kind of how my style is. But I love writing. I love writing it. I mean, that's why we do what we do, is to tell stories. And when you're writing, you're in control of the whole story.
Totally.
At least until you sell it to Netflix or something like that. Then you only got like 10% of your script in the actual final cut. But
yeah,
no, I love writing because it's your passion. You know, acting's my priority. But you know, it's not, in the end, it's not your baby. You know, your script, your movie, your short film, that's your baby. So
totally.
yeah, and it's a great way to just clear your head. You know, I'm somebody who when I'm writing scripts, and I'm currently writing one right now that I've been working on for 4 years, and it's not even close to being done, but I have to write it like 1 a.m. with nobody around me, and I have to be listening to like instrumental music.
Okay.
I don't know, something about like the nightlife and the world being quiet, and if I need to take a walk to find some inspiration, like my thoughts are calmed down. I don't know. That's the only time I can write. I can't write during the day. I can't write if there's other people in the house doing things. It's my process. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you also produce those 3 projects. Tell me, like, what are some of the things that you enjoy the most about producing?
Producing is it's enjoyable, but it is probably, I mean, props to every executive producer, line producer, co-producer out there, because producing is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, you're providing the financing of the film. You're hiring almost everybody. And I had very, very small budgets for the short films that I produced. Luckily, I had a producing partner. His name's Antonio Jordan. He lives out in Italy right now, but he helped me work on all three films. Producing's difficult, man. It's especially when you don't have a ton of producers. When it's only like one or two of you on a small budget short film. I
Mm.
mean, like I said, you're doing everything. You're in charge of equipment, financing, promotion of the film, um, script supervising, the scheduling for a call sheet, and it, that stuff's tough. I mean, finding that's why I try to keep my cast members limited in the scenes, because if you put 5 people in a scene plus 3 people for a crew, I mean, to have them all be available at the same
Yeah.
time is very hard.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Now.
Producing's challenging. I don't know if that's something I'd ever want to seriously get into, because it's just,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's the business side of it.
Yeah, totally on that one. And if you could describe your career at the moment, but on a movie, TV show, book, or play, what would be the title of it?
What would be the title? I've thought about this before. To the top.
To the top.
To the top, yeah. Because I think, it's like the Drake song that started from the bottom, now we're here. But,
Yeah.
no, I just want to, I always, my goal in life is to, win an Oscar, be a movie star, make movies that I want to make. And I'm nowhere close to that point. So I just got so much more to go. And I'm just, trying to take my career to the top. So.
Okay. And if you could describe it as well, but now on a drink, which one would you choose?
I'm sorry, say it one more time?
Yeah. If you could describe your career again, but this time on a drink, could be with alcohol or without alcohol, whatever you want. But how could you describe your career on a drink?
In 2 different ways. I would say one, a Long Island, because there's a lot in there, but the goal is still the same, to get drunk.
Okay.
But also stick to the basics with a Jack and Coke. That was
Okay.
probably the only drink I ordered when I used to go to bars out in Hollywood. It was a Jack and Coke, because number one is all I could afford, but it was just stick to the basics, and that's what I'm trying to do. Stick to the basics. With this career, you can literally go so many different ways, and 99% of those ways are going to lead you down the wrong way. But if you take the simple approach that this is a business and you're the CEO of your own company,
Totally.
and go down that line, stay consistent at it, you're going to see great results. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And like my last question here, man, is like, what motivates you? I mean, we all have those days, right? In which we just feel, yeah, we feel like shit. Basically, we don't want to continue doing what we do. We just hated it. I mean, we just think that why we're doing it, it's not cool. That we have wasted our time. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So, what gets you out of this? Yeah, like out of all of those toxic thoughts and just continuing pursuing what you love the most.
So it's been so different throughout the past 10 years. It could be something simple as seeing a new movie that just totally blows me away and inspires me to get back on the horse.
Yeah.
It could be just simply taking a walk and just kind of just clearing my head and realizing, like, okay, you can do this. Don't, just calm down. But honestly, right now, like I said kind of at the beginning, this is my calling in life.
Yeah.
No other career or any type of job or anything like that has ever felt right. This feels like, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But the biggest thing right now is my daughter. She's 4 months old, and it's so motivating. It's obviously a life-changing and big, challenging transition in my life, but it's so motivating, because it's like, I don't want her to grow up and think when things get challenging, you just give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
And I want to be an example to her and show her that, she's a blessing, and she's the best thing in the world that ever happened to me. Having a baby is challenging. It's very challenging. And a blessing at the same time. And I've had people say, oh man, you have a baby now, what are you going to do about your acting? I'm saying, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do it even harder now. And I want her to grow up knowing that I didn't give up, and I want her to be able to take that with her the rest of her life. And I just think it would be amazing for her when she's in school and people ask, say, hey, what does your dad do for a living? And say, my dad's in movies and TV. Yeah, right now, obviously my passion, and it's your passion gets buried sometimes and your desire, but you just gotta, you gotta discipline yourself and you gotta dig it back up. But for me personally, a big part of that is my daughter. So she inspires me to do that. When I think about that, I'm thinking, man, should I just? And I've had my thoughts. I'm like, should I just, throw the towel in? I'm like, no. My daughter wouldn't. I wouldn't want to do that. I don't want to tell my daughter that I just quit. So that's my biggest inspiration right now.
That is epic, man. I mean, that is super cool. I mean, the fact that you wanna create that message, like kind of to show that you don't give up. That is really cool, and I think it is needed, especially these days. That there's a lot of people that they will walk out of dreams by any reason at all. So the fact that you keep pursuing it no matter what, that is cool, man. That is super inspiring, and I'm super sure that eventually, that right now, of course, there's a lot of people who rely on you, but also they see you as an inspiration, because at the end of the day, what matters is to following what you love. What matters is to keep on the road, and of course that it can get challenging and tough sometimes, but the fact that you keep doing it, that is really cool, man.
I think it was Jim Carrey that was talking about his father and how his father gave up his dream of being a comedian to take care of his family, and he still ended up getting fired from his job. And Jim Carrey said something. He was like, he said it taught him that you can fail at doing something you don't love, so you might as well do what you love. And that quote really spoke to me, and just really sank into me. And I don't know if anybody could say it better.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, that is epic. That is epic here. That is really cool, man. I mean, as I said here, keep doing what you do, keep pushing it. I'm super sure that eventually we're going to see you everywhere. And who knows, maybe an action figure too. That would be cool.
Man, that would be something. That'd be
something.
Be almost weird. Be like, if my daughter wanted to like buy the toy of me and be like, oh God. I don't want to think about that.
Anyway, man. Keep doing what you do. As I said, it is really cool. I'm super sure that eventually big things are gonna come eventually. I mean, I always tend to believe that if you do things by heart and if you're honest with yourself, eventually good things come around. Eventually good things will come. And it's so interesting because sometimes from something that you may think it's bad, eventually becomes something beautiful on it. You know what I mean? So
actors got to use these big, these situations in their life where I feel like somebody who has had the perfect life and is not going through challenges in their life, they're going to be a terrible actor.
Oh yeah.
But if you got somebody who's been through, who's been broke, I've been broke. I've slept under a bridge in downtown LA. I've slept on someone's couch. I've struggled big time, and I think it makes you struggling makes you a better actor because you can pull from that.
Totally. Totally, man. Also, I mean. So yeah, that is really cool, man. I want to thank you for having the opportunity to be here. I also want to thank those for watching. Make sure that you follow me, Scott, in all of social media. Normally, what I would say is super simple. So you're gonna put pause, then you're gonna leave a like, subscribe, follow, helps me a lot. Then you're gonna go. Well, since we're still on holidays, we don't be. Yeah, let's go. Let's be unhealthy yet. So let's go eat a cookie. Go eat a couple of cookies here. Eat the whole box. I mean, once you're full and you can move, then go follow Scott. Leave a million likes. I mean, let's make sure everybody knows about this guy and how killing his career is. And man, before I send you off, I need to send you off properly. So
there you go. Like I said, one day you'll have a studio full of people.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. It's gonna happen. I'm super sure that it's gonna happen. I mean, there's a lot of work that I need to do in order to get there, but we're on it. That's the important part. But again, thank you so much here. Keep having an amazing rest of the week, an amazing upcoming weekend. Keep killing it. I'll see you in the next one, okay?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, have a good one.
Take care.
Bye.